today's Warzone top meta loadout video, we're covering the Season 5 Reloaded update. Season 5 Reloaded update changed so many things I was not expecting, but today we got everything covered for you guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you haven't enjoyed today's video, give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. Before we get farther into the video, I want to shout out to today's video sponsor, Outplayed. Outplayed is the ultimate video capturing app for gamers. While you're playing, the app will automatically capture your biggest plays and your best moments and pretty much trim out all the bad stuff without you having to do anything at all. And when you happen to be done playing, you can go right into the in-app video editing software and trim out anything you do or do not like and upload it to all your favorite social media platforms with just the simple click of a button. Not to mention that the Outplayed app supports 300 plus games in its library. If this sounds cool to you, make sure you guys head over to the link in the description below and download Outplayed today. Thank you, Outplayed, for sponsoring today's video. All right, for our first gunner today, we're going to take a look at the CR56 AMAX. This thing actually got a damage range increase and a torso damage increase, so this could be a heck of a lot better than it used to be. So let's actually give you guys a banger setup here for the AMAX. So first thing was we're going to go through on the mono suppressor here, sound suppression, and of course damage range. We've been running this here for quite a while on the AMAX. Next up in the barrel section, we're going to go through on the XRK Zodiac S440, damage range, bullet velocity, and of course recoil control. This is going to be 100% the way to go to make this thing truly as effective as an AR as you possibly can make it. So highly recommend the XRK Zodiac. Now in the barrel section, we're gonna go through on the Commando foregrip here because I'm trying not to slow myself down too much. So I pretty much go for the Commando. If you guys really want to, you can throw on something like the Ranger. If you feel like the recoil is a little bit too much, because I know the AMAX does have a little bit of recoil, but otherwise just go for the Commando foregrip and you guys will be perfectly fine. Now the magazine, we pretty much only have one option in here, and that's gonna be to throw on the 45 round mag. I mean, it's just the biggest magazine we got, so unfortunately I'd prefer to add like a 50 or a 60, something like that, because I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy. But overall 45 is the way to go because we're not going to deal with that base 30. Now in our last thing, we're going to go into the optics section here. We have a couple of different options in the optics section. You guys can throw in the Corp Combat Hollow if you want to go for a straight up medium-ish range build here. Works great on something like Fortune's Keep, you know, obviously Rebirth Island. Not as much something like Caldera. If you guys want a little bit more range, go for something like the VLK 3x optic, and pretty much you can use the exact same attachments otherwise by throwing on either the VLK or the Corp Combat Hollow. My preference right now is actually going to be to use the VLK and throw on like the T-Pose Reticle. So this is my full build here for the AMAX. Got a buff. It's super good after the update. Definitely be using this thing. All right, next up here, we're gonna be taking a look at the Bullfrog. This is a gun that's got a great amount of mobility and also got some damage increases to the arms and the hands, everything like that. So it's gonna make it when you take people out at pretty much all ranges a lot easier, because sometimes you're not always hitting straight up torso chest shots. So it's gonna make this gun more effective than it already was, and it was pretty dang good beforehand. So let's give you guys a good build for it. So first thing, muzzle to go through on the groove suppressor here, sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and of course effective damage range. This is gonna make this gun real good, so definitely throw in the groove suppressor. In the barrel section, we have to go for the 7.4 task force barrel, effective damage range, bullet velocity, and of course strafe speed. This is like a necessary thing we have to run on majority of these Cold War SMGs or even the ARs. Task force barrel, it's just definitely the best thing to go with, and we don't really care too much about the vertical and horizontal recoil control cons out of this. It's just kind of the thing you have to run on this thing. Now in the laser section, what we're going to do is we're going to go through on the Tiger Team Spotlight. The Tiger Team Spotlight is going to be great for that overall increase in movement speed. I really personally actually like that quite a bit, and I definitely recommend for you guys to run this for movement speed and of course that increase in aim walking movement speed. That's like a lot of the benefits of running the Cold War SMGs, is that the strafe speed on it is a little bit ridiculous, so definitely go and run that. Now we're going to skip the magazine, go straight for the rear grip here, because this already has a pretty sizable mag as is. We don't need to run anything else on here. So we're going to go through on the Serpent Rep. That increase in ADS time, this is going to make this gun better for close quarters combat, which is definitely a very good thing. And then to finish off this build, we're going for the stock section. We're going to throw on the KGB Skeletal Stock for ADS fire move speed, aim walking movement speed, and of course sprint to fire time. This is super good here. This has been like a real nice meta setup. I've tried out even more recently, and it's really fun to be able to use. It's even better after the update. So this is my full setup here. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. Definitely be trying out the Bullfrog after the update. I'm pretty hyped to be able to use this again. Next up, a gun that I'm actually really excited that got a buff is the Modern Warfare M4A1. I absolutely love the M4. You guys on the channel love the M4, so the actual buff to this thing was a neck damage multiplier increase, so that's going to make this even better when you're actually taking people out, because when you go for those chest to headshots, having an increased neck multiplier is always a good thing, and it makes getting those headshots feel like, you know, it's going to take people out faster, because on your way up you're going to be hitting the neck, of course. So let's get into this thing here first and give you guys a build. First thing, muzzle category to go through on the mono suppressor here. Of course, Barrel section, we're gonna go throw on the stock M16 Grenadier barrel. This is definitely my recommendation on this gun. I mean, I have seen a lot of people go for the Corvus Custom Marksman. That can be a little bit personal preference on the Corvus Custom versus the stock M16, but if you're trying to make this truly a really good AR, my thing is I always go for the stock M16 Grenadier barrel. Damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Under barrel section, when you go for the Commando foregrip here, ain't no reason to actually throw on anything else. The Commando is just definitely the best way to go on this gun. You don't need to stabilize it out any more so by throwing like a Ranger or something like that. I mean, you can really try it if you felt like it, but otherwise, I mean, just the Commando is the way to go. Magazine, we're gonna go throw on the 60 round mag because I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? I absolutely love the 60. We can even just try to see if this covers up anything. Nope, it does not, because it's one of those camos I have saved on as a blueprint. But anyways, we're gonna go for the 60 round mag here on this gun. And then for our last attachment in the optic section, much like you can with the AMAX, a couple different options in here. The Corp Combat Hollow sight, really good for that medium-ish range, of course, like I said, on Fortune's Keep and Rebirth Island. But then you want to go for something a little bit more so, like the VLK 3x optic or on the T-pose reticle. And that's gonna be really good as well for even playing on those maps, and of course Caldera. But otherwise, you guys can even try out something a little bit fun down here with the PBX Hollow 7 sight. Pretty similar to the Corp Combat Hollow, but just looks a little bit different, sometimes a little bit cooler in my opinion. But otherwise, the VLK is probably gonna be my pick to use on this gun as of right now, because it's gonna be really, really effective here at those medium to longer-ish ranges now. So definitely go through on this. This is my full builds here for the M4A1. Super happy this thing got a buff. I mean, man, I love seeing these Modern Warfare guns get some love. Speaking of Modern Warfare weapons getting some love, the CX-9 received a very sizable buff here in terms of its headshot damage multiplier was increased, its neck damage multiplier was increased, and also received a sprint to fire buff, making this gun a heck of a lot better than was beforehand. So let's give you guys a banger setup that you're going to be able to dominate Warzone with, and you're really going to be able to take advantage of these new buffs for it. So we're actually going to skip the muzzle, go straight to the barrel. We're going to go throw on the last one here, the CX-38S barrel. This thing is going to be your integral suppressor here, so it's going to give you damage range, recoil control, bullet velocity, and of course sound suppression, which is really good. So I love getting these nice little 2-for-1 deals here on some of these guns where you get a suppressor and a barrel all in one. So that actually is really good, and it kind of saves us on being able to use those attachments for a barrel and a muzzle. So let's go throw this on. After that, we're skipping the underbarrel section, going straight for that beautiful magazine. We're gonna go throw on the 50 round mag here for that increased ammo capacity. This thing's only got 30 rounds more or less, or 20 rounds stocked. You get 30 rounds here with this thing. Definitely not the greatest, so you have to run the 50 round drum on this thing. There's pretty much no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. Now in the rear grip section here, we're gonna go throw on the CX-TAC-9 grip for ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. I really enjoy this one over especially something like laser, just because I don't think I noticed too much of that aiming stability decrease, and I just really enjoy the benefits that ADS speed and course sprint to fire. You guys could maybe try something else like laser, maybe go for like the 5MW for hip fire accuracy and sprint to fire, or maybe the TAC laser for ADS speed, but this also is not really gonna help out your hip fire. And this thing, I mean, I don't know, I just believe there's better options in here, like the rear grip and going for the TAC grip. Stocks action, where we're gonna go through is we're gonna throw on the CX-FR. This is basically the no stock of this gun here for that movement speed and aim on sight speed. This is really, really good, and I love running this this stock here on the gun. And lastly, we're actually gonna go throw on a perk, which is something I don't normally do, but we're gonna go throw on sleight of hand because the overall reload speed of this gun is pretty dang slow, and to be able to combat that, we have to use one of those attachments on the course sleight of hand. So it kind of works out that we got that 2-for-1 in the barrel and the muzzle, but now we're able to kind of combat that reload speed here and be able to throw on sleight of hand, and this is going to make this gun reload very, very quickly. So this is my full builds here for the CX-9. Super happy this got a buff, man. I mean, this is gonna be a gun I'll probably be running on my loadouts a lot more. All right, fellas, next up we're gonna be taking a look here at the MP40. This actually got a buff, which is a little bit surprised about here, but it actually got a buff in terms of the magazine category, and we'll get to that here in just a second. So let's actually hop into a build for this gun. Muzzle, we're gonna go through on the recoil booster here, something we pretty much run on all of our Vanguard SMGs. Barrel section, we're actually gonna go throw on the Krausnik 317mm04B barrel for highly accurate and controllable recoil, and of course that reduced scope weight and gun pop. This is gonna make great use out of the next buff here that we got for this gun, so definitely throw on the Krausnik. Underbarrel section gonna be up to you guys more or less, but I'm gonna go for the Mark VI skeletal here because this is gonna make this gun super controllable, and we don't have to control it too much by throwing on something else. You guys could also throw on like a hand stop if you really want to. This can be kind of good. It'll make it probably a little bit better for like a sniper support or something like that, but if you're trying to use it as a regular SMG, probably go for the Mark VI skeletal and you'll be good to go with that. Now in the magazine, this is where we actually got a pretty sizable buff here. It's the 7.62 Garanko 45 round mag. This actually got a damage range sort of buff. They decreased it. It used to get like a minus 20%. Now it's down to like minus 10%. Also the muzzle velocity got a buff on this too. So this is a really solid magazine to run. Even like beforehand, this is pretty much what we ran, but now we're going to run it again. So this is going to make, you know, really for some really good combat with this gun. Ammunition, we're gonna go throw on subsonic here for no minimap ping. This is real good for running these SMGs considering you are unsilenced, so subsonic works out great. You guys could also run something like Langton. That's my overall like second go-to besides subsonic nowadays. Rear grip section here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go make this gun a little bit more mobile by throwing on the taped grip here. Pretty much no cons to this, and it makes this gun just a lot better, so we always gotta go for that taped grip. Optic section, you guys could probably get away with running a variety of things in here, so this is where it comes down to a little personal preference. The Night Arm Model 47 is a good choice for some of you guys out there. My preference is the slate reflector. I go for the slate on this gun, and then you could also, if you really felt like it, go for something like the iron sights down to the Krausnik ISO 1M or the 2M iron sights, and that's going to be up to you guys because you can get an ADS speed benefit. And obviously, you know, the iron sights really aren't bad on this thing. We used to run the iron sights on this all the time. And of course, the ground loot's got the iron sights. So it's up to you guys on that one. But more or less, most people are going to feel more comfortable running a slate reflector on this gun. Stock section, we're going to go for the Krausnik 33M folding sprint to fire movement speed. You're going to lose a little bit of initial firing recoil, but don't worry about that. That's not going to be much of an issue. Perk 1, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through on brace for that initial firing recoil. It's going to be really solid here, and it's going to make this thing a literal laser beam, so you're not going to notice nothing. And then in perk 2, we're going to go for quick for the overall increase in sprint speed. This is my full build here on the MP40. Super happy this thing got a buff here. Makes this gun more fun, more viable to use in the new season. Well, I shouldn't necessarily have said in the new season update, but you guys get what I'm saying here. But now let's move into the XM4. So based on how the assault rifle category is running out with some of the different buffs and nerfs, the XM4 is going to be a top tier weapon to be able to use here within the new update. So let's get into this. So first thing, muzzle, we're going to go through on the agency, suppressor, your sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and of course effective damage range. Super good. Definitely throwing the agency on this gun. Barrel, we got to go for the 13.5 task force. This is going to be a prime thing to run on this gun to make it truly as an effective AR as it possibly can be. So definitely got to go for this horizontal, vertical, effective damage range, and of course bullet velocity. Super good attachment. We don't really pay attention to the cons because this is an AR. We need these attachments on this thing. Barrel section, we're going to go for the field agent grip here, horizontal and vertical recoil control, of course. Nothing crazy here. I mean, we just got to be able to control this weapon. Magazine, this can be a little bit personal preference in here between the 45 and the 60. Don't go for the speed max. That's going to slow down your ADS speed too much. And the reload speed on this thing is perfectly fine anyways. You don't need to speed it up. It's not necessary in any capacity. I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy though, so I'm going to go for that 60 round mag. That's my preference. I just like having more rounds in my AR as opposed to just having less and getting a little bit more mobility. This is an AR and I don't necessarily require as much mobility. That's what my SMG is for. I'll whip that out when I'm trying to run on the map and be a little bit more effective like that. Now for our last attachment though, we're gonna go for the optic. Pretty much the only option here is gonna be the axle arms 3 times. You have to go for the axle arms on this thing. There's no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, there's not another good optic attachment for these Cold War ARs. It's pretty much only the axle arms 3 times. So this is my full build here for this gun. Hope y'all enjoy this. Very happy that the XM4 is gonna be super usable now, even more so after the update. Next up, another gun we got to give you guys a build here for is gonna be the Marco 5. And this is gonna be falling really nicely into the meta here after the update. So let's give you guys a new and improved build here for the Marco 5. Muzzle, we're going to go throw on, of course, that beautiful recoil booster for that increase in overall fire rate. Super good. Definitely recommend this one. Barrel section, we're going to go do is we're going to go throw on the Amaretto 342mm 04P barrel. This can make this thing super easy to be able to use. It's going to have virtually no recoil. So definitely be using the Amaretto 342 barrel. This is a really solid option. Underbarrel section, we go for the Mark VI skeletal here. Just got to increase the ADS speed and movement speed. We're not too worried about that con for the hipfire accuracy. We're not hipfiring too much with this gun. It's mainly an ADS gun, and that's pretty much that. Now in the magazine section, what we're going to do is we're going to go throw on the 9mm 48 round drum here. This is going to increase that ammo capacity, which is really good. And this is going to be a pretty fun thing to be able to use on this gun. You guys can also switch that out for like the Nambu 64. You guys can definitely get some good success with that one. But between the 64 and the 48, I mean, you're really gonna have good success with either of them here after the update, but pretty much either or, it's up to you on what you want to be able to try and what feels more effective for you. Ammunition, we're gonna go, of course, throw on subsonic here for that no minimap ping. Of course, this is the, you know, really good thing to have on this gun. Rear grip, we got to be able to, you know, make this thing even faster than it is. So of course the tape grip here is going to be my rear grip of choice. Just makes it, like, you know, super good with like no cons, so you can't complain about that. Optic section, we're gonna go through on the slate reflector here. I personally only say the slate reflector is like the thing they run on this thing. I mean, maybe the Night Arm Model 47, but otherwise, I mean, the slate reflector is just that beautiful small dot, and it's very easy. I mean, it's a small rectangular sight, you know, precision. So I mean, literally, this is just the best thing in here. Stock section, we're gonna go for the Imrato FR, initial firing recoil, recoil recovery, ADS speed, and movement speed. Gotta love that. I mean, that increase in movement speed is always really solid, and you ain't gonna notice none of that like con there. It's just not gonna be much of a thing. And in perk 1, we're gonna go for a frenzy here for health regen after kills. It's kind of like having built-in quick fix. I've ran this for a while, and it's actually really fun to run. And then in perk 2, we're gonna go for quick for that overall increase in sprint speed. So this is my full build here for the Marco 5. Hope you all enjoy this one. Try it out. A lot of fun. And then of course, to round out today's video, we're gonna be using the M13 for our final slot. This is a gun that I think a lot of people really like, and I get questions about every update and asking, like, is it still meta? And yes, indeed, the M13 is still meta. It's still incredibly good. So let's give you a build for it. First thing, muzzle, we're gonna go through on the mono suppressor here, of course. Barrel section, we're gonna go through on the Tempest Marksman barrel, damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control. This is definitely the best barrel to run on here. It makes this, you know, a top tier premium AR. The Tempest Cyclone and the Mini definitely do not do that, so stay away from those if you're trying to make this a true AR. And even if you're trying to convert this to an SMG, I mean, you're going to get outgunned by quite a few things at close range nowadays, so probably not the best to try to convert this to an SMG. It definitely doesn't, you know, excel in that category. Just throw in the Tempest Marksman. Underbarrel section, we're going to go through on the Commando foregrip here, recoil, stabilization, aiming stability, of course. Magazine, we're going to go through on the 60 mag. I'm a 60 mag kind of guy, and I just believe also that the M13's super high fire rate does yield for a nice thing to have, you know, the extra 10 rounds in the mag, you know, for the 60 as opposed to the 50. But like I said, up to you guys. Optic section to finish off this build here. We're in the Corp Combat Hollow is going to be a really solid option for that medium-ish range. Super fun to be able to use, and it makes you really feel like you're in a literal laser beam. And also, of course, the VLK 3x optic is a really fun option as well. But more or less, I think I like running this as kind of like a hybrid AR for that medium-ish range with the Corp Combat. It's a lot of fun, so that's what I'm going to be running here. You can throw in like something like the Blue Dot if you got that unlocked, and that's going to be a really good option. So this is my full build here on the M13. That's been my video. If you guys happen to enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, and I'll see you guys all later. Just around Triple Cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.